My name is Mike Sperry. I'm an RN case manager for Home Hospice of Grayson County. I've been with them, it'll be 2 years coming up this June 20th to be exact. I'm very proud of that fact. Um, as an RN case manager, we mainly manage the care of our patients. We collaborate with the family as well as the patient. Facilities, if they happen to be in a facility, on the care, the coordination, the care of all of our patients. The case manager, we take in consideration what our aides tell us, the collaboration with the doctors, as well as the social workers, volunteers. There's a great many aspects of care that goes into patient care, just besides a nursing visit. A lot of our patients but have a tendency to not be eligible after several months of being on surface. Their condition stabilizes to a point where sometimes we have to take them off, and that's where we consult a doctor. Usually our medical director comes out for a recertification, determines whether they are or not recertifiable to be on service. Most of our care is formatted around a care plan, which the RN case manager develops according to the needs of the patient, which again include the aides and the volunteer services if they possibly need volunteers. A lot of our care is also centered around not only the patient but the family. They need a lot of teaching, a lot of education. A lot of it has to do with patient care. It's the first time they've ever cared for a loved one that needs their bed changed. They need constant attention to urinary or bladder changing. Some of them wear briefs, some of them wear diapers, and it's a continual educational process with the family as well as the patient, caring for them at all times. On a usual nurse visit, quite interesting. It usually boils down to almost the same things every time. Vitals is one aspect that we always take when we're visiting a patient. We have a logbook that we write them down in, and it's just to look later back or for future nurses to come and take a look to see what their past vitals are. Any attention to wounds are taken care of that time. Many of the patients have wounds to their bottom ends or their buttocks, depending if they've been sitting or lying in bed for a long period of time. Our aides, as well as our volunteers, also give us directions or let us know if something's happening different with the patient or if we should address our attention to something else with the patient as well. Visits usually take anywhere between 20 minutes, 45 minutes, just depending on the needs of the patient, how close to end of life the patient may be, how much time the family might need on their education of the patient's condition, as well as personal care that the patient might need. Our plan of care, the nurse case manager develops that for the patient, specifically with input from the aides, again, social workers, volunteers, the doctors, other nurses, very, very much a group effort. Most of the time you'll find that the patient and family are on board with the care plan. Sometimes the family isn't in agreement with the care plan. It develops confrontation sometimes, where the family just don't want to give certain medications or they're afraid of certain medications. It's a constant education process with the family, especially if they're new to caring for a patient or a loved one at home. Patients have very much input on the care plan. It's their care plan. The care is all about them. What they feel they need and what we feel they need as part of their care plan. It's a collaboration. It's all put together. Everything's detailed in the care plan where anybody that comes in, a new nurse, a new aide, can look at the care plan and follow it directly. Educating family members on the care plan, I'd hit on that real briefly, is sometimes a lot of the most common misconceptions is medications. They don't want to give certain medications because they have a stigmatism that this medication will do this or that medication will do that. Even with all the education you can give them, they'll still sometimes be resistant on certain areas or types of the care plan. It always helps if they're on board 100%. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, and each visit's constant education onto why it must be adhered to and the benefits to the patient itself. Communicating with the patient or family, usually as a case manager going in on a daily visit, the first people I talk to is either the facility nurses, family members, the medical power attorney, or whoever's with the patient the most. It's very important to get a report of how the patient's been doing since the last time you've actually visited with them. And that directly comes from whoever's been giving the caregiving for them. Majority of my patients live at home. I do have several that live in a facility. The facility patients, actually the collaboration is sometimes a little harder in the facility because you're dealing with not only the patient, the family, you're dealing with the director of nursing, the staff, you're also dealing with the facility aides. So there's a lot more care and collaboration when they're actually in the facility than when they're at home. As mentioned, probably 3/4 of my patients are home patients. I collaborate with the family quite often. Again, most of them are on board with the care plan. It also always takes a lot of education. And education is the main point. It's always given by not only the nurses, but by other members of our team as well, as far as social workers, aides, the doctors. Volunteers also provide quite a bit of education themselves. The first person I usually talk to again would be a family member, especially if they're at home. You always need to know how the patient's doing, how they've been reacting to certain medications, or how they've been declining, or if there's been any improvements since the last time you've seen them. Sometimes you end up calling family members, especially MPOAs, or medical power of attorneys, who don't actually live at the residence, but live in a different city or a different town, or even out of state. You always got to call them sometimes once a week, depending on what they desire as far as communication. Let them know how things are going. What do I enjoy most about my job? Probably not being inside, surrounded by four walls, 10 to 12 hours a day. Actually, I love working for Home Hospice. It's a very humbling experience. It's a very heartfelt, a very emotional job. Every day's never the same. You might be laughing because patients make you just internally smile quite a bit. Some days you'll cry, and there is no one here that's immune to that. We're a tight-knit family, and we share these experiences, and crying is part of the job. There's no way not to get away from it. There's no way not to get attached to your patients and your loved ones, their loved ones. But I've never had a moment where I've never regretted working here, and it's a blessing, and again, very humbling. Why they should choose Home Hospice Grayson County over any other hospice? Grayson County is the only nonprofit hospice in the area. I do think that makes a huge difference, especially for me. I could not see myself working for a for-profit hospice. I think the care here goes beyond making money. We take in indigent patients who cannot afford care for themselves, and we've even gotten indigent patients from different hospices that they could not or were not able to care for. What makes Home Hospice of Grayson County better or different than any other hospice is that we care for anybody. It doesn't matter your color, your race, how much you earn, how much you don't make. We're here for you, and we're here for your families, and I believe that makes the biggest difference. Home Hospice is full of so many different community groups, support groups. We have Camp Dragonfly, which I'm an active part of every year. I love volunteering my time for the kids who have um, grieving for someone that they've lost, whether it's a grandmother, a friend, or a mother or father, or even a sibling. Um, the camp is just wonderful. We also have our fundraisers that many of us volunteer every year. We have our Great Texoma Cook-Off. Um, oh my gosh, our bereavement crew have fundraisers. Everything. We always have something going on. Um, Always great to be a part of. I always feel like I'm important when I'm a part of it. I always feel like I'm trying to make a difference. And it makes me feel good inside.